Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip. I hope you're doing well. It's Tuesday, September 15th. I have a quick update for you. Some more good news of lawmakers pushing for stimulus checks and a new stimulus package. In particular, there's a group of 50 lawmakers that support this effort, March to Common Ground, a bipartisan COVID relief framework. I'm going to share what's in here because it also gives details on the stimulus checks and PPP funding, because it gives details on everything that's covered. This group is called the Problem Solvers Caucus, but more importantly, all this good stuff down here and this $1.5 trillion package and what's in it. Here's what the New York Times covered about them today. Amid stimulus impasse, bipartisan group offers $1.5 trillion compromise. And at the same time, Pelosi says today, on record, the House will not leave for November elections without acting on another stimulus measure. She says we have to stay here until we have a bill. So with Pelosi saying that today, with what Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said yesterday, which I talked about last night in the video, saying that he wanted a bill no matter what the fiscal cost is, it needs to be passed. So now we have two of the biggest decision makers agreeing that a deal needs to be done, plus this bipartisan group of Republicans and Democrats putting together this $1.5 trillion package. Their goal is to stop the deadlock. Pelosi and Mnuchin now with this positive mindset, maybe we can get something passed. Thanks as always for subscribing and liking and leaving a comment if you are optimistic about this or if you support our $1,200 stimulus check giveaway. Many of you know we are donating 100% of our YouTube revenue this month to give out stimulus checks. To win, you have to subscribe to our channel and also watch the video we did about this, which I will link to in the description. But the bottom line is subscribe. Again, all of these videos, all the ad revenue is going right back to you, to stimulus checks. Let me cut right to the chase here and talk about the March to Common Ground framework. Okay, this 50-member bipartisan caucus led by co-chairs Josh Gottheimer and Tom Reed, Democrat and Republican, developed and came together in support of the framework after extensive listening to constituents and outreach to stakeholders on the past 6 weeks. Hopefully they saw some of our letter writing. The package addresses key areas of need, here we go, including COVID-19 testing, unemployment insurance, direct stimulus, worker and liability protection, small business and nonprofit support, food security, schools and childcare, housing, election support, and state and local aid. Now, what's great about this $1.5 trillion number is this is what Republicans said they would move up to. So what's great about this, too, is that a lot of this is what the Democrats proposed in their $2 trillion package as well. So there is a lot of agreement here. So direct stimulus checks to individual families would be $316 billion. Small business and nonprofit support, this would be another round of PPP funding, would be $290 billion. It's unclear if some of this would be also to replenish EIDL and also support the EIDL 4227 to give everyone the 10,000 checks. It's still unclear. Here's their 13-page document they put together. Our objective, just like all of us on YouTube, is to inspire negotiators to return the table. All right, we're talking about 4 negotiators. We've got Mark Meadows representing Trump, Steve Mnuchin also representing the Republicans and Trump, Mitch McConnell, leader of the Republican Party, and Nancy Pelosi, leader on the Democrat side, and to some extent Chuck Schumer as well. So those are the 5 people that basically need to reach an agreement, and they can bring their parties together to agree on a deal. So a big thing is, of course, more testing. Los Angeles schools announced that they're testing nearly 100,000 people in their school district, and that's a major cost to the state of California. So they're putting $100 billion towards testing and healthcare. Now here we go, stimulus checks. Because of COVID-19, fixed costs for individuals and families are often exceeding the ability to pay food, rent, loans, and other necessities. Here's their proposed solution. $1,200 stimulus checks plus $500 per child plus dependent adults retroactive for $280 billion. That's the price tag for those checks. And that's mostly what you care about. That's the big number here. And also rental assistance for the most needy and other rent stabilization programs and or eviction moratorium through January 2021. I'm going to link to this, by the way, in the description in case you want to take a look through it. Unemployment assistance, $120 billion. Here's the big thing, $450 per week for an 8-week transition period, followed by up to $600 per week and up to but not to exceed 100% of previous wage. This is similar to what was proposed back in July, so not much different there. So this would cover through January 2021. Finally, for small businesses, the main problem here is people have used their PPP loans and many of their millions of employees are hanging in the balance. So their solution is $240 billion for a second round of PPP, second loan, flexible use, full transparency, simplified forgiveness, prioritize distressed businesses. That's great. That's similar to the framework that was laid out also in late July, beginning of August. So $145 billion remaining from PPP would be reappropriated to this. Basically, it would allow people to apply again. As many of you know, there's still $145 billion left in that pot. And $95 billion in new money for this program. There's also a lot of money for schools and childcare. This is a really good document to look through in detail so you can see what's being discussed. Most of us fixate on stimulus checks and PPP because that's the direct money in the pocket, but so much of this also has a major impact, especially when it comes to testing and schools and childcare. And for our state and local government, they need help too, so they can continue to pay out unemployment checks, for example. So there's $500 billion set aside for state and local aid. That's a big one. Democrats have always been pushing for that. The fact that it is in this bipartisan bill, the fact that it is in this bipartisan proposal is a very good sign. And election aid, $400 million to help with the election this year. Again, I'm not going to go through all the rest in detail, but we have stuff for agriculture, USPS, and the census. Worker and liability protections, also very important for people getting back to work, for employers and employees. Automatic boosters and reducers. Okay, I looked at what this jargon meant, but I think it's tied to how we actually progress in COVID and having some extra funding available in case we need it. Here's the best chart we've seen on the actual cost breakdown. So previously appropriated CARES money, again, this is what Trump talked about. Oh, maybe we can shift this into direct stimulus checks. But their proposal is to lump this in with the new money. So there'd be $1.5 trillion in new money and then potential reducers and boosters based on certain metrics. But this is the big one, $1.523 trillion. And it's a great sign. And here's, you can go to their website and read about them. Again, $1.5 trillion is great. It's more than the money we can put together to give out to you guys. But I'm really happy to see this. And I'm happy to see that now people are back in session and they're serious about it. Of course, it's sad that it's taken so long and we're getting closer and closer and closer to the election. But this is a good sign. The House Problem Solvers Caucus mapped out the recovery package. I'm going to link to that. Pelosi has a positive tone. Mnuchin has a positive tone. And we have a positive tone because we're getting lots of people to watch our videos and like our videos, which means that we can give out more money at the beginning of October when we pick people to give out $1,200 stimulus checks to. Here's the video for that. I'm going to link to it here and in the description. I'm also going to link to this document. This is great to see. Again, here's a good recap of what those boosters and reducers talk was. Depending on the severity of the pandemic and if a successful vaccination program is adopted by March 2021, a system of automatic boosters are designed to incrementally increase the amount of relief to individuals and families. Conversely, a system of reducers will decrease the total cost of the package. So there you go. There's some flexibility depending on how we do. So it gives us an incentive to, hey, if we do well, we don't need to spend all the money. For people who are a bit more cautious about spending $1.5 trillion, that's a good way to look at it, to see, well, if we do well, if we make positive progress, we might not need to spend it all. I hope this helped clarify where we're at. Thanks so much for subscribing. Please tell us if you're optimistic about this. Stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you tomorrow.